last segment of the story, Nick talks about the trials of Jesus Christ. And he makes a great point by reminding us that Jesus was tried by both the Jewish people and the Romans multiple times. And so when the question gets raised, who's responsible for the death of Jesus? The answer is all of us. Everyone has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And so we are all responsible for Christ's crucifixion because Christ died so that our sins could be forgiven. But there's an interesting point that happens in these trials. We see Pilate reach over to a bowl, dip his hands in the water, and say, "I wash my hands of this. I am not guilty of this man's death." But that's not something we get to do. We don't just get to wash our hands of things. But how often do we do that? How often do we say, "I don't have to make peace with my neighbor because I asked God's forgiveness. I wash my hands of that"? How often do we say, "I don't have to be a good husband or father because I went to church on Sunday. I wash my hands of that"? How often do we say, "I don't have to go to church because I read my Bible this week. I wash my hands of that"? How often do we try to rid ourselves of guilt before we've even admitted that we were guilty? We can't simply cover ourselves in God's forgiveness and go on living as we see fit. Even in trying to cover ourselves in His forgiveness, we still have to admit that there's something that needs to be covered in His forgiveness.